What up, folks? This is your boy, the Pittsburgh Golf Hack, and today I got a pretty interesting topic I want to discuss with you all. From an average golfer's perspective, would I be better off playing a steel shaft in my driver versus a graphite? Let's get into it. Now, before we get started, if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button. That way, if there's any new videos that comes out, you'll be notified. Also, you can follow me at all the social media links you see at the bottom of your screen. And last but not least, make sure you tune in every month to the Pittsburgh Golf Hack official podcast that you can find on iTunes and Google Podcasts. The driver that I have in my hand here is a Mizuno T-Zoid 11.5 degree control driver with a dynamic gold true temper stiff steel shaft. Now, I used to play this driver all the time up until 2010. Every single time I hit it, 250 yards, down the middle of the fairway, never had any issues with consistency with this driver. 2010, I switched over to Graphite, and I have never had the same consistency. So it got me thinking, why am I not playing this club? So this week, I pulled it out, took it to the simulator, and to my surprise, it was not very good. I was only able to hit this club about 200 yards. It felt like I was hitting the ball with a brick. Just not a very enjoyable experience. So needless to say, old Goldie is going back in the closet. However, it got me thinking, what if I put a steel shaft in my current driver setup? What would that do for me? So I know what you all are thinking. The Golf Hack has done went and lost his mind, right? Probably so, but there's one PGA Tour pro who begs to differ. Jimmy Walker, PGA Tour pro, last year in 2020 made the switch back to steel shafts in his driver and fairway woods. Said he was looking for something a little nostalgic, and he got one of his old fairway woods out and was just playing around and immediately started seeing more consistency down the middle of the fairway. So he reached out to Titleist and he said, hey, here's what I would like to do. So Titleist made him up a custom driver and fairway wood set with steel shafts, and he's currently playing those clubs today on the PGA Tour and hitting them pretty good, I might add. So call me crazy if you would like, but that is exactly what the Golf Hack has went and done. I have put a true temper Uniflex steel shaft in my existing Callaway XR Speed driver. Now, this is not something you're going to find off the shelves. You're going to have to build it. And I will show you in a later video how I built this and how I put it together. But you're going to have to build it, cut it to length. Now, I have made this steel shaft the same exact length as the existing hazardous shaft that I'm playing in my driver. All right. So these shafts are the exact same length, and they are pretty much the exact same stiffness. So let's get out to the simulator and let's compare this driver head on both the steel shaft and my existing graphite shaft and see which one plays better for me. So after about a dozen shots with the graphite and the steel shaft, here's where the average stacks up using my current driver head. Believe it or not, on average, I was able to swing faster and have more total yardage with the steel shaft versus the graphite. Now that may not make sense to a lot of golfers, but here's why it makes sense to me. Look at the min and the max on my shots with the graphite shaft. There's 62 yards difference between my best and worst shot with the graphite shaft versus with the steel shaft there's only 37 yards difference. That's a much tighter shot dispersion versus the graphite shaft. And we can confirm this if we look at the face angle. With the face angle with the graphite shaft, my worst shot, I was 6.7 degrees open with the face, which means guaranteed to have a drastic slice. With the steel shaft, my worst face angle and my worst shot was only 0.1 degrees open. Still gonna slice it, but way less drastic. The rest of the parameters pretty much stacked up to be exactly the same. Very little difference between those, but the biggest difference for me was more club speed because I was more confident and more comfortable with my shot dispersion with the steel shaft versus the graphite. Alright folks, so I'm going to let the data speak for itself. I was pretty impressed at the numbers we saw on the launch monitor and what we were able to do with the steel shaft in my current driver setup. The biggest takeaway for me is that we didn't actually lose any swing speed. Matter of fact, we might have gained some because as I become more confident, I was able to swing the club a little bit harder. Now, some of that may have been a bit of a placebo effect, but in my opinion, that was the biggest takeaway for me. Now, if you are hooking the ball or slicing the ball, steel shaft is not going to fix that for you, okay? You're still going to hook or slice the ball, but what it might do for you is if you're hitting the ball 90 foot off center with a slice, maybe a steel shaft brings that into 60 or 70 foot off center, to knock down the disparity in how bad that slice is on your miss hits. But you're still going to slice the ball. Nothing can take the place of you practicing and going out and working with a pro or an experienced golfer to help improve your swing. Case in point, if you go back and look at some of my most recent videos, I was only getting about 92 mile an hour swing speed and only hitting the ball about 225. Not very good even for an average golfer. However, after working with a pro and some of my experienced golfer buddies, I was able to work on and identify a few things in my swing that now has helped me get my swing speed up into the upper 90s, sometimes into the hundreds. And now I'm hitting the ball about 250 yards and I'm not swinging the club any harder. It's simply working on my mechanics and my weight distribution in my swing. Again, all things that were pointed out to me in a lesson and some sharing videos with some of my friends. So that being said, a steel shaft isn't going to cure all your problems, but I do think for an average golfer, it can knock down some of the disparity that we see with graphite shafts in our game until you can get those issues worked out with your driver and your swing speed. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so already, go down and hit that like and subscribe button. And until the next time, you all get out and hit them straight and keep on hacking. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I got more stuff coming your way soon.